We potentially have a tunnel sitting at 95 feet, which comes into this potential treasure location.
90 feet beneath Oak Island, a drill breaks through solid rock and finds empty space where none should exist.
Who knows what's outside these walls? We might be 2 feet away from something that's just sitting there.
Within hours, one of the most active treasure hunts on Earth grinds to a halt. Its own crew forced to stop drilling and seal a single sample for the lab. What that sample holds, buried inside a scrap of ancient wood and echoed in the water around it, points to something no natural process should be able to explain. This is the discovery that shut the dig down. And it may be the moment a search 2 centuries in the making finally cracks open. The men who would not look away. Terry Matheson had been sitting on borehole DN 11.5 the way a hawk sits over a field, refusing to blink. He is the geologist who has read more core off this island than almost anyone alive, and Charles Barkhouse was locked in right beside him because the plan that day was simple to say and brutal to pull off. Reach the zone where the old records and the new data both whispered that something valuable might be waiting, somewhere between 80 and 120 feet beneath the surface, and get down to it before the island had one more chance to hide the answer. You have to understand what 200 years of failure does to a place. This search has swallowed decades, fortunes, and reputations whole, and it has handed nearly every searcher who ever tried it the exact same thing back: nothing. So when the drill started chewing down through the layered clay and stone, the whole team drifted in toward the rig without a word, shoulders almost touching, and Terry never once looked up from the readout. He was not waiting for the drill to find gold. He was waiting for it to find something a human being had built. And that is the part outsiders never quite get about this island. The real prize was never really the metal. It was proof that hands went 100 feet down into solid ground and shaped it on purpose. Because the moment you have that, every wild story ever told about this place suddenly has a spine to hang on. Terry knew which side of that line they were sitting on. He kept his eyes down as the numbers climbed. Because this island lies. That is the only honest way to describe it. It has offered up flooded shafts and rotting timbers and flecks of metal for 2 centuries, and every single time it has led the people chasing it right up to the edge of an answer, and then closed like a fist. Terry had watched it happen. He had seen good crews talk themselves into believing the ground was about to give up its secret, only to watch it hand them mud. So he did not celebrate early. He just watched the depth tick down, waiting for the one signal the island could not fake. And 12 feet lower, right around 90 feet, the drill was about to hand him exactly the thing he had been waiting years to feel. The moment the drill found nothing. Then Mike felt it. A man who spends his life pushing steel into the earth learns to feel the ground through the rods the way you feel a road through a steering wheel, and around 90 feet the resistance simply changed. The bit pressed through something firm, and then, for about 1.5 feet, it met almost nothing at all. No gold in that instant, but you already know what a moment like that means out here. Charles and Terry came halfway out of their chairs. This was the exact change a person waits years to feel, and their minds were already sprinting through everything it could mean. They pressed Mike with question after question, because the one thing they needed to know could not wait another minute. Had the drill really just passed clean through a hollow space nearly 100 feet under the island? And if it had, what on earth was holding that space open, 90 feet down, where the weight of the whole island should have crushed it shut long ago? Mike confirmed it. There was open space down there, a genuine void where solid ground had absolutely no business being. And here is the thing you have to sit with. A void is not treasure, and it is not proof of anything on its own. But on Oak Island, a void is the signature of intention, the fingerprint of something made rather than something formed by accident, because water does not carve neat empty pockets 100 feet down. People do. Charles did not hesitate for a breath. He said the brothers needed to hear this now, and the crew moved as one body toward the phone, none of them realizing yet that this void was only one of 3. If you are enjoying this, and you want to be standing right here on the platform every single time this crew drills into something they cannot explain, take 1 second and subscribe to the channel. It is the difference between hearing about the moment everything cracks open and watching it happen the second it does. Rick and Marty get the call. When Rick and Marty Lagina came up onto the platform, the anticipation on both their faces was the kind you simply cannot fake. Rick was almost electric, and for good reason, because the coordinates of DN 11.5 had dropped them dead center into a stretch of ground the team had been chasing for years. High gold readings had already turned up nearby. Air pockets, voids stacked one after another. A whole cluster of anomalies packed into one small patch of an island that has spent 2 centuries giving up nothing at all. So, they had given that patch a name pulled straight from where it sat, the way you name the one spot on a map that keeps refusing to behave like the ground around it. Once a piece of ground earns a name on Oak Island, it stops being a coordinate and starts being a suspect. Then Rick gathered the crew to walk back through exactly what had happened, because a find like this deserves to be understood before anyone lets themselves believe in it. Every person in that circle was chasing the same single question. What was the story that sent a drill bit clean through solid island and into empty air 90 feet down? Whatever the bit broke through gave way and then dropped off into a void that opened up roughly 1.5 feet past Mike's reach. Sit inside that for a second. They were overjoyed, genuinely, the kind of joy that makes people forget to breathe for a beat. And then Terry, who had gone quiet, started looking at the coordinates of the other holes, and what he saw pulled the temperature in the room down to 0. The alignment. Nobody was supposed to find. The numbers were not scattered the way random anomalies are supposed to be. DN 11.5, DN 12.5, and DN 13.5 lined up. East to west, clean and deliberate, 3 separate boreholes falling onto a single straight line, and when they measured it precisely, each one had touched emptiness at the same depth, 94 feet beneath the water and the rock. Think hard about what a straight line means underground. Nature does not draw straight lines and then hold them steady across 3 separate drill points, spaced apart from one another. People draw straight lines. People build walls and shafts and passages. Terry raised the possibility right there that these were not 3 unrelated voids at all, but 3 windows punched into one continuous structure, hidden 94 feet down. A wall, maybe. A shaft. Or the one word that changes this entire search the instant anyone dares to say it out loud. A tunnel. Now the question in every head on that island narrowed to a single point. Had they drilled into 3 pieces of the same buried thing, and was it tied to the gold that kept surfacing in the exact same ground? This was as big as it gets out here, and the more you sit with it, the harder it gets to explain away. 3 holes drilled on 3 separate days, and every one of them dropping into nothing at the same measured depth. That is not the kind of coincidence the Earth hands out for free. But here is what they could not get around, no matter how badly they wanted to. A hunch, even a brilliant one from a mind like Terry's, is not evidence. 3 drillers feeling voids fall into a line is a thrilling pattern, and a pattern is not the same thing as proof you can lay flat on a table and defend. They needed the ground itself to testify, and the only way to make it talk was already sitting in a sample bag. The sample that went to the lab. A piece of dry wood had come up along the path of the drilling, and wood that deep is already a story on its own, because timber 90 feet down does not simply fall there by accident. Someone, at some point, put it there, or built something out of it, and the island buried it under 100 feet of clay and time. So they ran it through an XRF spectrometer, a tool that reads the elemental signature of a sample without destroying the sample itself, which mattered more than it sounds. Whatever this splinter was, it might be the only one of its kind they ever got their hands on, and they were not about to burn it up just to learn what it was made of. The room where they finally gathered for the results was thick with 2 things at once: tension and hope, that specific kind of silence that only settles over people who have waited a very long time to hear one answer. You could feel how badly they wanted it, and you could feel them fighting that wanting, because on this island, the moment you let hope do your thinking, the island takes everything. Emma had the readout, and the first thing she saw was not the thing that would change everything. What was hiding in the wood? Emma is the team's archaeometallurgy specialist, and she had worked the analysis carefully before she was ready to say a single word about it. What the XRF returned started exactly the way you would expect from ordinary Oak Island ground. Iron, manganese, titanium, calcium, potassium, aluminum. The plain fingerprint of plain island soil, every element accounted for, every peak on the readout explained away. She had been careful. She had ruled out everything that could honestly be ruled out. And then the reading did something ordinary island wood is simply not supposed to do. Gold. The wood carried a trace of it. Actual gold, locked inside a scrap of buried timber, showing up in a place nobody had any right to expect it. The team could not let a reading like that sit, so they pressed Emma directly. Was the gold real, or was it noise? The kind of stray anomaly that means nothing once you look closer. Emma answered with a laugh she could not quite hold back. The gold was the anomaly, yes, but it was a real one, standing out clean against everything around it. Then they pushed the sample further, and what came back rattled the whole room. The gold measured in at roughly 0.04% of the sample by weight. Said out loud, "That sounds like almost nothing, but hold on to what that sample actually was. A small, random sliver of a much larger find. One splinter of timber pulled from a structure they had barely begun to touch. Nobody had gone looking for a gold-rich seam and carved out the best piece. This was a blind grab, a scrap of whatever happened to ride up the drill on that pass. And if a blind, random sliver carried gold at all, your mind runs straight to the thought nobody in that room could stop themselves from having. How much more of it is down there, in the pieces they had not pulled up yet? And the wood, it turned out, was only half of what the ground was trying to tell them. The water and the wood. Because the drilling had brought up more than timber. Water had come up out of that same zone, and water on Oak Island has never once been innocent. Not with the flood systems this island is famous for. So the team sent it out for the same trace metal testing they had run on the wood, hunting for that same faint signature in a completely separate material. 2 threads now, wood and water, pulled from the same 94-foot void, each one capable of pointing the same direction on its own. Understand why that second thread mattered so much. One anomaly can be luck. One scrap of gold-flecked wood on an island that has fooled smarter people than any of us could always be a fluke, a stray reading, a story the ground made up just to break another crew's heart. But a second independent line, running through the water instead of the timber, is a lot harder to wave away as an accident. 2 different materials, pulled from the same void, both whispering the same thing in the same faint chemical language. That is the kind of agreement that turns a maybe into a lead. It was not proof yet, and Emma would have been the first to say so out loud. It was something rarer than proof on this island. It was a second reason to keep going, arriving at the exact moment the smart move was to stop. Why the ground went quiet. And that is where the whole mood on the island turned, from open celebration into something far more careful. You do not keep hammering a drill down through a structure the second you realize it might actually be a structure. You do not risk shattering the one thing you have spent decades of your life trying to reach. When a random sliver of buried wood comes back carrying gold, and 3 boreholes line up cleanly over a single void 94 feet down, the responsible move is also the hardest one to make. You stop. So they did. This is the shutdown, and this is the honest version of it. Not a government, not an order from anyone far away, but a crew forced to halt their own dig because the find had quietly gotten too important to rush. And if you have ever wondered why these searches move so slowly, why they do not just tear the ground open and grab what is down there, this is your answer. Every crew that ever destroyed an Oak Island discovery did it by moving too fast, by trusting a drill over patience, and the island has punished that mistake for 200 years. Rick and Marty were not about to become the next name on that list. They sealed what they had. They sent it out. They let the science catch all the way up before the machinery did any more damage to something that might be impossible to replace. And they had to sit with the plain truth, Rick said out loud to everyone standing there. The lab was never going to hand them the whole answer by itself. Whatever was resting under the garden shaft, whatever those 3 voids really were, it was going to make them work for every inch of it. And the drilling would not start again until they knew they would not destroy it the moment they touched it. The island that keeps its secrets. Their whole journey on this island has run exactly like this from the very first day. Every void, every anomaly, every strange reading feeds a hope that one day the deep truth of this place finally comes loose in their hands. They know how many people came before them. They know how many searched this exact ground with everything they had and walked away with nothing. It has never once dimmed them. If anything, each new discovery only hardens the resolve, because passion and a stubborn, unreasonable belief that they will be the ones to crack it is the whole engine driving this thing forward. And with a void confirmed, an alignment mapped across 3 boreholes, gold sitting inside buried wood, and the water carrying its own quiet hint, they are closer to that elusive answer than the halt on that platform even led on. Think about everything the ground gave up in days, a hollow space where there should be solid rock. 3 of them, in a perfect line. Gold where gold has no business being, and a second material quietly echoing the first. Any one of those on its own is a curiosity. All 4 together, stacked in the same patch of a single island, start to look less like accident and more like design. The dig stopped for now. But on Oak Island, a pause has never once meant the end of anything. It has only ever meant the island is getting ready to make them work harder for whatever comes next. Big credit to this crew, because the Laginas and their team keep pulling up pieces that could finally lead somewhere real, and they keep searching this island with the same unshaken spirit, whether the day brings a breakthrough or a dead end. So, here is what I actually want to know from you. Do you think that void 94 feet down is just a natural pocket in the ground? Or is it the wall of a tunnel someone built a very long time ago to hide something? Tell me in the comments below. And if you want to be here the moment this dig starts back up, subscribe right now, so the next discovery lands in front of you the second it happens.